A very good evening to all our viewers. This is Beyond Wallet. I am Sumit Chaturvedi. Let's go straight to our top headlines. India's third largest IT services exporter Wipro has decided to let go 350 to 400 employees as part of appraisal process. Now, Indian Commerce Minister Sitharaman has reminded Trump it is not just Indian companies in the US. Several big companies of US in India are also they are also working in US, and they could be hit by the visa ban. Saudi Arabia's Labour Minister has issued an order to restrict employment in shopping malls to Saudi nationals only. And in a move to appease its vendors, Flipkart has reversed its return policy on several items sold throughout the website. Now straight to our top story, where India's third largest IT services exporter Wipro has decided to let go 350 to 400 employees as part of the appraisal process, which the company termed as a part of plan to align its workforce with business objectives. The IT major at the end of third quarter of FY17 had a total headcount of around 1,80,000. It is not clear which divisions of company will be affected the most. Wipro has faced growth challenges in the last 2 quarters of FY17, recording flattish growth, and is also expected to end the current fiscal with a revenue rise in single digits. The pace of employee addition for the Indian IT industry has in fact slowed down over the last couple of years, driven primarily by 2 factors: a slowing growth rate, which has come down to single digits, and increased pace of automation, which has reduced the dependence on employees. Infosys made a net addition of 6,320 employees during FY17 to reach a total headcount of 2,364 employees. In comparison, during FY16, which is last year, the company had a net employee addition of 17,800 employees. To talk more on this story, we are joined by our Bangalore correspondent Nishita Virendra. Good evening, Nishita. First of all, we would like to know from your side what has led to this kind of layoffs at Wipro, and are they of big concern to other IT sector companies as well?
Definitely a big concern to the other IT sector companies as well. Let's not forget that the traditional IT sector in India has been facing a bit of uncertainty, not just at a local level, but at a global level in view of the protectionist policies of the US government. Australia, Singapore, New Zealand and countries such as those tightening their visa norms. And apart from that, you also have issues like automation, artificial intelligence coming in, reducing the requirement for a larger workforce. So companies like Wipro are downsizing their employees, as we can see, with almost 600 employees being evicted from the payroll. When the company was asked to respond on the same, they merely stated that this is part of their regular appraisal process. There's scrutiny of the kind of performance that has been put up by each of the employees, and the least performing employees are asked to leave the company. But the number of employees that have been given the pink slip can differ from year to year, and this time around it seems like the number of employees has starkly increased. On the other hand, you have other signs, as you rightly mentioned. Campus hiring by almost 60%. It has hired almost 6,000 odd recruits this time around in comparison to over 17,000 last year. WION did have a discussion with several engineering colleges in the city of Bengaluru, which is the IT hub, and they all went on to state that while the number of recruiters coming on campus has not significantly reduced, but there is a certain dip in the number of offers that have been given out to the prospective employees, to the students. That is fairly demotivating. And the students who are not in their final year this year, but in their last but 1 year, are the ones who are worried that next year the things could get worse. In fact, companies like Infosys are also employing these newcomers not on payroll, but on internship, on paid internship basis, and depending on their capacity, depending on their performance, they're made permanent on the payroll. So certainly, it seems like the atmosphere is getting extremely tense for the future generations as far as the IT sector is concerned. And many experts have opined that self-learning is the way to go forward.
And Nishita, do you look or anticipate firings coming from Infosys, TCS, these IT giants, or going forward?
Well, Infosys, after repeated questions, has gone on to state that it is not looking at sacking any of its employees, but it has drastically reduced the number of newcomers who have been hired into the company. But on the other hand, you have companies like Capgemini who are reskilling, who are implementing a reskilling program for their company. There might be a major layoff this year as far as Cognizant is concerned, the US-based company. So in an report, it was stated that Cognizant will hire or will fire almost 10% of its employees in view of the global atmosphere changing for the IT sector. And many of the top officials in these companies going on to state that while they are investing in reskilling and retraining many of their employees, but at the same time, non-performers cannot be invested upon by these companies, and that is the reason why they are being let go. And the norms within the companies are getting more and more stringent. They're downsizing their workforce. They're cutting down on expenditure because at the end of the day, we have to understand that the Indian IT company is extremely traditional and it is competing against artificial intelligence, cloud computing, automation, and now you have the protectionist policies, which is controlling the Indian IT companies from moving their labor force freely across the border, back and forth, or for that matter, even increasing their expenditure as far as production costs are concerned. So certainly multiple factors weighing down heavily on these IT majors, and we can see those bearing the brunt are at the very bottom line. But as far as Wipro is concerned, Sumit, we can expect some mid-level, mid-managerial firing is what is being stated at the moment. However, the company has chosen to remain quiet on the matter.
All right, thank you so much, Nishita, for bringing us up to date with all these details. Now, Wipro has started this firing process where around 400 people have been fired. Analysts are expecting other companies to follow suit. Now, moving forward, India's Finance Minister Arun Jaitly has strongly raised the H-1B visa issue with US. Jaitly, who is in Washington, met US Commerce Secretary Wilbur on Thursday. Taking up the visa issue, Jaitly highlighted the important role played by highly skilled Indian professionals in America. Now, Ross has reportedly told Jaitly that no decision has been taken yet on the H-1B visa issue. This is the first ever cabinet-level interaction between the Indian government and the Trump administration. Now, Arun Jaitly, the Indian Finance Minister, is in the US to attend the annual spring meeting of International Monetary Fund and World Bank. Now, continuing with the visa issue, where a day after US President signed an executive order to review H-1B visa policy that may affect thousands of IT professionals working in America, India's Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has reminded Donald Trump that not just Indian companies in the US, but several big US companies are in India too. Well, ever since Donald Trump filed his nomination for US presidential election, he has been talking about Make America Great Again. And at the center of his campaign was his commitment to bring back jobs that America lost to developing nations. Let's listen in what Nirmala Sitharaman, Indian Commerce Minister, had to say.
As you see it, it's not just the US. It is several countries now adopting such measures. We need to have the industry also look at various different ways in which we can, government and the industry can work together on it. We are going to be engaging with them. But let us also understand that not just Indian companies in the US, several big US companies are in India too. They are also here. They are earning their margins, they are earning their profit, which goes to the US economy. So it is a situation where it's not unilateral, just Indian companies having to face the US executive order. There are several US companies in India who are doing business for some years now. And therefore, I want this whole debate to be, if it has to be expanded, it has to be expanded to include all these aspects. And we shall ensure that all these factors are kept in mind while we respond.
Now, in a move to appease its vendors, Flipkart, the Indian e-commerce giant, has reversed its return policy on several items sold through the website. Now, Flipkart no longer offers refunds for products that fall into several popular categories like mobile accessories, personal care, computer accessories, cameras, office equipment, games, and several more such objects as smartphones and furniture. Now, Flipkart has now clearly labeled categories that won't be seeing refunds on its website. These includes lingerie, innerwear, socks, clothing, freebies, home care, music, movies, baby care supply, beauty and grooming products, gift cards, food and nutrition, computer software, CD, DVDs, cars, and these kind of things. Flipkart had reversed its no questions asked return policy in June last year by reducing the return window of goods to 10 days from the previous 30. Now, moving to our first global story, where Saudi Arabia's Labour Minister has issued an order to restrict employment in shopping malls to Saudi nationals only, who currently make up only 1 in 5 staff in the retail sector. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been steadily closing off different areas of employment to foreigners who comprise about a third of the population, as it aims to create jobs for young Saudis and cut the unemployment rate among nationals. A statement from the Minister for Labour and Social Development posted on Twitter defined malls as closed commercial centres but did not elaborate on the number of jobs affected or a timeline for implementation. Now, according to the Vision 2030 economic reform plan released last year, Saudi retail sector currently employs 1.5 million workers, of whom 3 lakh are Saudis, the rest 12 lakh are of foreign origin. Now, the plan calls for 1 million new jobs for Saudis in the sector by 2020. Staying with the global news, where Japan's exports grew at the fastest rate in more than 2 years in March, supporting a moderate economic recovery in the face of weak domestic demand. Now, exports rose 12% from a year earlier in Japan, according to data released by Ministry of Finance of Japan. Now, imports jumped 15.8%, the biggest gain in more than 3 years. The trade surplus for March was 614.7 billion yen, compared with an estimate of 608 billion yen. Now, exports have recently become a bright spot for the Japanese economy. The March trade data indicate growing health in the global economy, particularly in Asia, will continue to support the Bank of Japan's efforts to generate a sustainable recovery. Now, questions will remain: will Japanese consumers start spending again? And will the US take a tougher line with Asian exporters over their trade surpluses with America? Moving to India, where Income Tax Department of India has slapped a fresh notice on British firm Cairn Energy, seeking up to 30,000 crore rupees in penalties for its alleged failure to pay rupees 10,000 crore capital gains tax on time. Now, within weeks of Tax Tribunal ITAT upholding levy of retrospective tax, the Income Tax Department first sent a fresh demand note of 10,000 crore rupees and another show cause notice asking as to why penalty should not be levied for its failure on paying tax on time and filing of returns. Now, senior tax officials said Cairn Energy has sought 10 more days to reply to the show cause seeking levy of penalty. The assessment got implemented in January 16 and a final order was issued, raising a tax demand of 10,000 crore rupees and another rupees 18,800 crore rupees in interest for 10 years. Now, Korean car maker Hyundai has launched an all-new version of its compact sedan Accent, priced between 5.3 lakh and 8.4 lakh at showroom Delhi in Delhi yesterday. Now, South Korean auto major Hyundai Motor Company is looking to almost double its sales from Indian operations to 1 million units by 2021, for which it will invest rupees 5,000 crore to bring in new models. Well, the company, which operates in India with its Indian subsidiary, plans to introduce 8 models by 2020, including 3 models catering to new segments and hybrids. The company plans to introduce 2 new models each year till 2020, including hybrid products, as part of planned purchases and launches. The company last year sold 5 lakh units in the domestic market in India, thereby registering a growth market share of 17% in the passenger vehicle segment. It sold a total of 6.6 lakh units last year, which included exports. Now, the company Hyundai India aims to maintain its present 17% market share in India. Sunilkant Munjal, chairman of Hero Enterprises, has invested 100 crore rupees in impact investment firm Avishkar's new fund. Now, Avishkar Bharat Fund, the investment which has been made in Munjal's personal capacity, is part of 2,000 crore rupees corpus that social venture capital firm is targeting for its new investment vehicle. Now, WION on that occasion caught up with Hero Corporate Services chairman S.K. Munjal, and let's hear what he had to say on the issue.
I've announced an investment actually in Avishkar. Again, for a long time now, a lot of us have been saying that for all of India to develop, it has to be all, meaning the rural areas have to develop, the small enterprise has to develop, those who currently do not have opportunities also have to find opportunities, which does not happen in the normal course of business. So we looked around to see who was doing the best work in the impact investment area. We found Avishkar as a fund, which is now run 5 funds right now, has set up 50 companies, and 25 of them have already been sold in the areas which are a crying need, in healthcare, waste management, cleanliness, education. In all of the areas they've done work. So we've committed 100 crore investment into Avishkar's 6th fund.
And is it you going to be there, or will there be a consortium of people who will invest that money into that Avishkar fund?
So it's a fund. It will have multiple investors. What he was saying was that so far 97% of their investors have always come from overseas. It is the first time they've seen a significant investment from anybody in India, and which is why he wanted to tell the media. In fact, we don't like to normally announce what we do in this area, but he was very keen. He's saying we want people to hear so that others can also get encouraged. So I'm saying if that helps, then of course we will talk about it. But our own philosophy is not to announce what we do in these kind of areas.
Great, sir. Wish you all the best, and Hero Mindman all the best and success, sir. Now, moving to China, where 4 years after China's President Xi Jinping started cracking down on corruption and conspicuous consumption, the most extravagant fast cars are making a comeback into the Chinese market. Chinese sales at Ferrari and Aston Martin are approaching their 2013 peaks, following tumbles of as much as 20% in 2014. Now, Maserati, McLaren and Porsche enjoyed their best year ever in 2016. Lamborghini is also on the mend after deliveries plunged by more than half from 2013. China's Xi Jinping has not ended his drive to curb wasteful spending by officials and eliminate graft. Instead, private consumption is filling the void left by extravagant gifts aimed at currying political favor. The number of Chinese millionaires rose 10% last year and is expected to more than double to over 1.7 million by 2026. Now, according to research by a Johannesburg-based consultancy, New World Wealth, consumer confidence is the highest since the global financial crisis amid a strengthening Chinese economy. A 10% super luxury tax announced by Ministry of Finance in China in December to guide reasonable consumption and cut emissions has not dampened the lust for cars costing more than around $1,89,000. Now, Maserati's sales have surged 119% year to date. Now, Reserve Bank of India's Governor Urjit Patel has been asked by a parliamentary panel to appear before it again on May 25 over demonetization issue after former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh prevailed over BJP MPs in the panel to call him. Now, interestingly, Patel was spared a grilling when he had appeared before Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance in January this year after Singh, who himself was RBI Governor once. He went on to say that the RBI as an institution needs to be respected and Patel should not be put odd questions. Now, top sources and members of committees said that Patel has been asked to appear again before it to brief the members about demonetization, as discussion on it is yet to be concluded. Now, the committee headed by former Union Minister and senior Congress leader Veerappa Moily had in January also called Finance Ministry officials beside top RBI officials to discuss the demonetization of currency notes of Rs 500 and 1000 and the impact thereof. Now, Narayan Murthy on becoming a pattern manager, as he also couldn't complete their questions, while this has all taken place inside RBI. Now, with this, it is time for a short break on WION Wallet. After the break, we will continue with our coverage of markets. Stay tuned to WION. Welcome back to WION after the break and straight to our market segment, where Sensex of India was down 57 points at 29,365 points today, while the Nifty was down 17 points at 9,119 points, while benchmark indices in India end the day on a negative note, with the Nifty snapping 950 mark it had achieved intraday. To talk more on the markets, we are joined by Amit Gupta, co-founder and CEO, Trading Bells. Well, good evening, Mr. Gupta. First of all, for our viewers, we would like to know the strategy they should adopt going forward. People who invest in markets, what are the likely sectors they should invest in? And second, what kind of response will they see from the market?
Well, this is the result season going on right now. Next week will be very heavy on the results. Starting on Monday itself, we have Reliance Industries declaring its results along with Ultratech Cement. So we saw some good movement in Reliance today, and that will continue on Monday because the results are after the market hours. On Wednesday, we have Axis Bank, and on Thursday, we have Kotak Bank announcing its results along with Biocon. So it is a results-heavy week. No particular sector is showing a great strength, except maybe the reality sector today. We saw very good movement in DLF. HDIL has been doing good in the past couple of days, and so is DHFL. The reason over there I can see is that government, which had announced during the budget season that it will ensure housing for all by 2022, we are expecting that they might announce some policies or some changes in the existing Real Estate Regulations Act, the RERA, in the next few days. So the housing market segment has shown some good movement. So that is one sector that the investors can look forward to. The another one is the banking sector. There was good movement in the banking sector. It started off very negative in the morning, but after HDFC Bank announced its results later part of the day, the trading in the entire bank Nifty, it got a splurge and it ended up positive ultimately end of the day. So banking is another which is giving some very good volatility, and volatility is what exactly the investors want.
And Mr. Gupta, one last question from you. Is it a euphoria in mid-cap segment, as mainly analysts are saying that mid-caps are doing very, very well? It's kind of euphoria in mid-cap segment in India.
Yes, mid-caps have always been on the radar for many investors. The multi-baggers, they don't come from the blue chips, they always come from the mid-cap. So mid-cap investing, I always become very cautious. Look at the fundamentals more than the technicals, because in the short term, the trading are all sentiment driven. But in the mid-cap, if you can look at the fundamentals, the book value and the price earning ratios, these can be some very good indicators to bag, to ensure that you get a multi-bagger in your portfolio. So it's not a euphoria. It's always been something that the investors are very, very keen on, looking at and analyzing in more detail than the blue chip stocks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gupta, for getting us all these details as far as markets are concerned. We were talking to Mr. Amit Gupta, CEO Trading Bell, who was discussing with us the markets and their likely movement over the next few weeks. With this, it is time for a wrap-up on WION Wallet. For more news and updates, stay tuned to WION, and thanks for watching us.